I know your sound has been described generally as pop, but how would you describe it?
We've been calling it whimsical ethereal pop, which I think is a very good way to put it. I like to add a bit of fantasy, whimsy to my music wherever possible and in my imagery too. So I think that's a good way to put it.
Who were some of your musical influences while you were growing up?
Oh, well, my favorite singer of all time was Freddie Mercury. I loved him so much. I named my cat after him.
He would
And
have
I
loved
also
that as a
love,
cat fan.
right? I think he would have. So Freddie Mercury for sure, favorite vocalist. And then I also listened to a lot of musical theatre, which is very random, but like I loved Wicked and Phantom of the Opera. So I think that helped my flair for the dramatic a little bit. Like I like to really put on a show, and I think that comes from my love of musical theatre.
You have a new song after Midnight out now. What's the idea behind it?
Yeah, so the idea behind After Midnight was essentially you're in the early stages of dating someone and you realize you've started to get invested in the relationship. And there's a line in the song where I go, break my heart or treat it right, you decide. So it's sort of saying, I recognize that I'm now a bit too deep in this process and I've caught feelings. So it's now essentially in your hands where this is going to go. Are we going to keep dating? Are you going to hurt my feelings? It's on you. So that's the idea behind it.
How have the fans been reacting to the release? What have they been saying to you when they reach out?
Oh, they've loved it. I was performing After Midnight on tour before it released, and I performed a show the day of the release, which was really fun. And before it released, everyone would be in my DMs being like, what was that last song you did? Or when's After Midnight coming out? And I'd be like, very soon, just wait. So everyone's really excited that it's out.
It's got such uh it just draws you in, and it's so haunting and beautiful, and such a great summer, or end of summer I should say, 2023 single. And you have an upcoming album here shortly as well. What are some themes you'll be exploring on Metamorphosis?
Yeah, so there's a wide variety. There's some heartbreak. There's a very heartbreaking ballad because I always say it's not a piece of Maisy Kay music without a sad ballad in there somewhere. I'm a big sad ballad girly. So we have that. We have some more upbeat numbers. We have a song about mental health and anxiety, which is really important to me as someone that suffers from anxiety. So I'm really happy that one made it on there. But the whole theme of Metamorphosis was just essentially discovering whimsical ethereal pop because before that point I'd never really was fully certain what sort of music I wanted to make and what sort of artist I wanted to present myself as because I liked so many different things. So Metamorphosis for me is really about turning over a new leaf, starting a new chapter as a butterfly, if you will, in my new lane of whimsical ethereal pop. So it's very much about like finding yourself.
What's your songwriting process like? Do you need to have a beat or some music before you can create lyrics around it, or do lyrics tend to find you and then you find a little bit of in your head a beat that could go with it or a sound that could go with it?
Yeah, so it varies. There's been times where I've had a melody first or lyrics that I've written down in my phone. The reoccurring theme is there's normally always a piano. I do best when I can really sit behind a piano and figure out the chords. So whether that's a melody I've recorded in my phone and then 2 days later when I'm by my piano, I can sort of play and figure out the chords or lyrics. Or sometimes I'll just, if I really want to write a song, but I have no idea what to say, sometimes I'll just sit behind the piano and I'll just play different chords and see if I get inspired and can start creating something that way.
When it comes to the production side of the music you make, do you have much of a hand in it in crafting the sound work, or do you have someone you fully trust to help get that true Macy K sound that you're really going for with a particular song?
Yeah, so I believe I have the same producer for all of Metamorphosis, and he's someone that's worked with me for a very long time. So he really knows by now what I like, what I don't. So when it comes to working with him for a lot of it, I definitely let him take the reins, if you will, but I still like to have a big say. I'm very opinionated. So if I don't like something, I will be sure to make it known. I won't just be like, it sounds good if it doesn't. But there's been a few times for sure where I'll sort of sing like a guitar riff or a funky bass line into my phone. I'll be like, I think there should be some sort of guitar line, like, and then I send that over to him. But that's definitely the sort of relationship you can only get with time. So I'm very lucky to have trusted collaborators in that way.
I know you touched on one song in particular off of Metamorphosis that you said is super personal to you because, as someone who also suffers from anxiety, it's a deep-seated, in your heart and in your mind and things like that. And it's also, I'm sure, very personal for you. Is there a song though that you would say, or is it a song you would say challenged you the most creatively because it's maybe your most vulnerable song so far?
Mm. Well, I think I really liked it because we wrote it in a way where it's vague enough where it almost sounds like an unwanted partner or an unwanted past love that's lingering and you want it to leave. And I really like that because it's ambiguous. But what I actually wrote it about was the struggle of anxiety. So it goes, you always overstay your welcome. So the song's called Overstay. That's a little sneak peek right there. But it goes, overstay your welcome. And it's written in a vague enough way where it sounds like it's about a person, but it's actually about the feeling of anxiety and how it lingers after you really, really want it to not anymore. So I'm really proud of that one. I think it's really cool.
Is there a song that you can tease as maybe one of your personal favorites on Metamorphosis?
Ooh, okay. I actually really do like the sad ballad on there. It's called Never Meant to Be Mine, and I wrote it in a very emotional place by myself, by the piano, just fully. I didn't even think. I wrote it so quickly, probably in like 20 minutes tops. And I remember finishing it and being like, oh, this is a good sad girl song. And I sent it to my producer and I was like, be honest, do you love it? Do you hate it? Because I feel like I love it, but maybe I'm biased. And he loved it. So I actually only wrote that song a couple months ago. It's the newest track to make it on the EP. All the others I've had for a few years, but that one I wrote it this year and we smacked it on there.
What do you hope lingers then with people who explore Metamorphosis and listen to it maybe from start to finish, even?
I hope that people appreciate the versatility. I really tried to have some like happier sounding, dancier songs and some more intimate pieces. I've done both in the past musically, and this EP is my attempt of sort of meshing the two worlds together. So I hope people that liked me for 2015 Maisy and people who liked me for 2021 Maisy can both equally appreciate what the EP is and how I try to get the best of both worlds, if you will.
Who are some artists you'd love to collaborate with on a song in the future?
Oh man, I've always said I'd love to do a sad ballad with Lewis Capaldi. I think he has a beautiful voice. So I think that's definitely top of my list.
I could see maybe a Charlie Puth sad ballad as well.
Oh, he's so talented. That would be a cool one.
What would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of the beautiful music you continue to make?
Oh man, just thank you so much. I that was the first tour I've ever been on this past month, and it was truly one of the best times of my whole life. I still wear these are actually friendship bracelets that fans would give me after the shows, and I wore them every single day for the whole tour. Every time I got one, I'd stack it up. I actually have this many in total. I
You're the
couldn't even fit
Australian
this one under
Taylor
my
Swift.
costume. I was just so happy to get to meet so many fans and get to know people. So to everyone that's a new fan or an old fan supporting me, just thank you so much. It really means the world and I'm so glad you like the music.